welcome to see you on the show, everyone. I'm delighted to see Jason, Adam, and Alicia.
Alicia.
Thanks for joining me. We're going to talk today about ShiftMate and how you guys decided to partner with Jason and the team and how you implemented it. But before we do that, let's back up. I want to hear how each of you, how did you get started working with credit unions, and what kind of work are you doing today?
Okay, I'll start first here. So again, my name's Alicia Birch. Thank you so much for having me. I'm the VP of Lending here at Alliance Catholic Credit Union. I started in the credit union industry in 2004. And at that point in time, I started ground up. I started right on the teller line. And it was something that I started as a part-time job. And I noticed right away how much of an impact we play in our members' lives. And I gradually went up the chain, and once I started taking loan applications, that's where I really realized how much of an impact we truly were helping our communities. And from there, I just fell in love with it, and here I am. Underwriting I'm very passionate. It's something that I teach my team, and I stress to them the impact that we play in individuals' lives, whether it's a $1,000 loan or a $100,000 home equity loan. That meets our members' needs, and that's everything to them. So,
thank you. Who's next?
Adam, you want to go next?
Yeah, I'll go next. My name's Adam Tonch. I'm the Vice President of Retail at Alliance Catholic Credit Union, and I've been in the credit union industry for 10 years. The whole time's been at Alliance Catholic Credit Union. I am, in fact, a reformed banker. So, yes, I know. Yeah. I started working at in 2004 as well. Alicia and I are about the same age. She's much younger than me, though. But I started at a small community bank, and then I've also worked at some of the largest banks in the country. And I actually got out of retail banking for a while because I was done with it, right? And some things happened, and I ended up at Alliance Catholic Credit Union. And the feel and just how we treat our members, how we treat each other at the credit union. I go to a lot of different credit union things, and just how we are as an industry, as collaborative, and therefore our members, are things that I never saw once in banking. Just being able to say, yes, we're going to do the right thing for the member is just, it's a freeing, amazing thing that you don't see when you work at a large bank. It's always the person's a number. The person is there's restrictions. You can only do so much to help them, right? We're here, we're all able to make a huge difference in our members' lives, and it's the most important thing we do every day. So I love it. I'm passionate about this industry now, and it really renewed, I guess, my faith or my passion in the retail financial services industry.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
I'm Jason Kane. I am the co-founder of ShiftMate. I started in the credit union movement before I even knew it was a movement. I remember when I was about 5 or 6 years old, my parents and I were shopping around trying to get an auto loan. We went to a couple of different banks. The banks had said no. And then finally we landed at a credit union. And I remember the person that helped us. I remember the person's name because of the way they treated us. 15 years later, that same credit union gave me my first job. And for the next 20 years, I spent learning the ins and outs of the credit union industry, understanding that it's about dignity, it's about trust, it's about the relationship, working alongside, knowing that it's not about the tools or the technology, but it's the outcomes. It's how do you surface the member's relationship? How do you surface their needs and give the tools to the team member to be able to provide the conversation that's needed to be able to help that member? Today, again, I'm the co-founder of ShiftMate, and we're excited to talk about how we've done that for Alliance and how we're going to do it for the credit union industry.
Great, Jason. So I might need your help in some leadership as we unpack this. But what I was hoping we go to next is I want to know, like, tell me about ShiftMate. So, what is the organizational structure? I think you're part of a QSO, so our listeners are familiar with that structure. So, explain who the players are there, and then what is the deliverable, and then let's have some back and forth with Adam and Alicia on how you came to work together, what you're doing. And of course, the bottom line is numbers. Any numbers you can tell us about impacts you're making for the organization, for the member, is the bottom line.
Absolutely. So we're not a venture-backed fintech. We are a credit union service organization. We are owned by credit unions and we serve credit unions. And at the nucleus of what we do is we look at these legacy systems. We look at these legacy workflows, these dated ways of interacting with the member, and we refactor and recreate them in a way where we bring AI first mindset. How do we recouple these processes in a way that brings intelligence, that brings context, that brings automation and agentic workflows through those processes? Today, we'll talk about, we've done this for several processes, but we're going to more specifically talk about loan retention and loan recapture. So how do you analyze the data that you have? How do you recreate these processes to do it in a way that brings modern technology to them? We have a huge opportunity to leverage these new technologies. And unfortunately, a lot of times the backlogs and the systems that have been created for the credit union industry haven't been built from the ground up with that mindset. They just haven't been afforded that opportunity to do so. And that's where ShiftMate comes in. We can land and expand. We are an open platform, so we don't have to completely rewrite all of your systems. We find that wedge within your organization, we peel it back, and then we monitor and measure it in a way that has closed loop, with the outcome of your member being that first thing.
Where did it come from? What's the genesis of ShiftMate? Why does it exist?
So ShiftMate came from the concept of going from credit union to credit union. So I've been at multiple credit unions. I've served as an executive level. Credit unions were solving these problems, but they were just solving them differently. They were approaching them. One was approaching it from a CRM, another approaching it from a marketing, another approaching it from integrations and data. But the realization is that you have to start with the member and the outcome that you're looking for. Then you restructure your data to be able to better serve that member. And then you sit it on top, AI layer or API layer on top of that, so that you can embed it into all of your systems. Once you have that, then your workflows become open, they become usable, and they become engaged no matter which system you're using. So broken systems, broken technology, broken ways to be able to interact with it. That was the foundation of it. Once AI hit and the technology and capabilities of what AI could bring to this, it was really ended up becoming a no-brainer.
So was somebody experiencing this issue and then developed ShiftMate? Is that?
All credit unions that I worked at were experiencing these issues at some form of another. And then I partnered with a couple of credit unions. I partnered with my two co-founders, and we came together and started.
Oh, so you are the source. You saw the problem and then, took your entrepreneurial spirit and went to fix the problem. I see. Okay.
Yes, humbly, but it takes a village to be able to bring an organization together.
For sure. For sure. Okay. So, so then you form a QSO and you have various credit unions involved, several credit unions involved in the startup effort. Is that right?
Absolutely. Yes. We have multiple credit unions and we're working with them right now to onboard and solve these problems alongside them. Day in and day out, we work with credit union, like we work with the practitioner, we work with the leadership to really drill into the details matter when you're building out workflows, especially for your members and especially with the technologies that you're using. So we're working and we're drilling into those processes, the different systems, so that it's one fluid process and it just happens in the background. It doesn't surface the complexity to the end user to try to figure that out. It does it in the background, surfaces what it needs to in the moment that it needs to, so they can continue on. It is governed, so it's properly governed AI. It's not just AI doing what it needs to do. It also has human in the middle, so that at any point the human can disrupt the AI and they can take over and do what they need to do with it. And then it's tracked. So if any of the AI makes a decision or does anything, it's logged and you can understand what that is. So you have full context from acquisition to conversion.
Well, let's start to get into this specific example. So for Alliance, how did you, like, what was the problem? What were the numbers? What was behind deciding to partner up with ShiftMate? Where did that come from? And then what was the search? What was the initial process? Just walk us through the whole thing from before to in process to implementation to now.
You want to start, Adam?
Sure, I'll start. So, yeah, thanks, Alicia.
I like that.
So, when the things that Jason's talking about, that we have a lot of different streams of data, a lot of different vendors we work with. Credit unions of our size and most credit unions do not have the people capacity to, manage something like ShiftMate on our own. I've worked at financial institutions where there was more people in IT than we have as a company, right? Our budget, our size as a credit union, the large banks are spending more than what our asset size is every year on technology stuff, right? So it's really hard for credit unions to invest in some of these things or spend that same amount of money on it. So having a partner like ShiftMate that is able to connect a lot of those things that you do every day and get it to your frontline team members or a lot of different team members in a consistent experience that they can go into and work on is much better than what we've had before. Because you don't have to go through, ideally, to look at what ShiftMate does, you don't have to go through like 8 different things. Like there's a system for this, there's a system for that. And it consolidates everything into, a true workflow that we know that everybody's going to be looking at. The other part of this is that ShiftMate takes time to understand our processes and our workflows. We've had meetings about, they diagram the entire workflow out. So like, this is what you do, loan applications, what systems does it touch? And I learned a lot from it because I'm looking at this chart that they have and they keep clicking on it and there's more things. And I'm like, there's more? Because it's stuff that you take for granted, right? So all of those things has been helpful from our perspective of being able to really focus on our members instead of whatever other system is out there, right?
Yeah, I'll add on to that. So between the retail department, Adam's team, and my team in lending here specifically, we have been searching for a partnership with something like ShiftMate to help us not only with runoff that we may experience, but bring in new, pre-approvals, different types of offers to apply and help us streamline that. Right now, just like many other credit unions, like Jason was saying, we have many manual processes and it takes a lot of staff, to handle that. And ShiftMate will be able to come in and help us streamline these efficiencies, bring us the growth, that lift that we're looking for, and help us do it in a streamlined fashion. And it overall helps us as an organization within our operational unit. But beyond that, like Jason stated, this goes beyond that into the member experience realm, and this is serving our members to the best way that we're able to do so.
So runoff is one that Jason, I know I had it in some of his pre-materials. So can we unpack runoff a little bit? Did you get into identifying some numbers around that? And have you had it long enough that you can see any impacts yet?
That's where we're anticipating it right now. We're in the early stages of it. So we are, and like Jason said, they work so closely with us to help us in every aspect of in every business unit here in the organization. But within lending, that runoff is something that we anticipate happening, especially in, a rate decrease environment that we're foreseeing here. So we have to stay ahead of it. It's something that we've had many conversations about between my team and Adam's team, rate modifications, what we can do so we can keep it here and we don't lose that business. Right now, we are able to see if a member applies somewhere else. We can see that through, solutions that we have right now. But ShiftMate will be able to step in there, streamline that process. It's a very manual process, and they can reach right out to it, and we can capture and keep that within our organization here. And that's something we're very excited to expand and streamline that process that we're currently doing.
So that's in process. That's not live
Correct.
yet, right?
Correct.
All right.
Correct.
So can you kind of step by step, either Jason or any of you, like on how that, like exactly what will change and how it will change as far as you can take it?
Yes, I can take it from there. So there are three different types of runoff. There's balance runoff, there's pipeline runoff, and there's a relationship runoff. So balance pipeline are your refis. That's what your institution is mostly familiar with. Usually it's after the fact, something occurred, and now you're getting the data to see, oh yeah, we actually have this balance runoff. Pipeline runoff is more in the process. That's the details. So those are where maybe you have a stuck documentation or an application, or a member needs to follow up, or a team member needs to reach out. And then there's relationship runoff. This is where the member gradually starts to select another financial institution over your financial institution. What we're starting first with Alliance is the relationship runoff. So we're going to look at where the member may be paying an auto loan or a loan with another financial institution. And then once we identify that third party loan, that loan, they have another data source that we're looking at as well, that will be able to back into some of these loans too, to actually have a pre-approval sent along with the outreach. So once you have your list of what members you need to actually reach out to, then the team member ends up reaching out to that member and either having the offer to save them time, save them money, or grow their wealth. With that, though, it's a great opportunity to have a financial wellness checkup. So maybe that member had an experience, or to really drill into the nucleus of why they're starting to drift to another financial institution, to be able to recapture that relationship, bring them back into the institution. There's a lot of studies out there that a lot of times the members just want you to reach out. The customer just wants you to reach out to set something right, to be able to rebalance that relationship as a whole. So this will give you a great opportunity for that. The way you can do this as an institution, you could back into your data and have a manual process to be able to see how well you're doing on a weekly basis. We call it a 90-day runoff radar. You evaluate this on a weekly basis with a small team, and then at the end of the 90 days, do you scale or expand it? ShiftMate, what we've basically have done is taken this manual process and automated it completely from start to finish. But we've also have an agnostic data set structure that we can bring any third-party database along with it. So when you think about your Experian triggers, or any other system like your Experian Quest or another solution out there, we can bring that information into that journey and sit alongside your team member to, again, give them the conversation that they need to be able to have either that reach out to be able to nudge a process along if it's a pipeline, and then also to give you your reports so you understand where's that balance going, what are the trends around that balance, so you have a full close the loop approach to this from acquisition to conversion.
And how agentic is that?
Very agentic. We use a third party system to aid in that process. Alongside, we're also doing a lot of calculations, and we've created a complete AI tool set to be able to enhance and infuse that. The reason why we chose this third party partner is they're well known in the industry, but they're purpose built for the medical industry and the financial industry. And what that ends up providing you is that provides you the need to be able to understand from a governance standpoint all of the details that AI occurred and what occurred in that process. From a granular standpoint, you can click into it, you can understand who did what. Not only what did the AI do, but what did the team member do, how did they respond, and it has all of that tracking built into it.
Interesting. Yeah. So then would this end up reducing staff time from existing processes?
Absolutely. A byproduct of automation is reduction of staff time, right? Or reduction of time
Eventually.
in that process. Yeah, in that process as a whole. We look at it as we're looking at the outcome from the lens of the member and the lens of the team member. How do we bring that forward and then have the byproduct of efficiency be through that automation occur? We'll be measuring it along the way. We'll be gathering those insights. So most certainly you'll have the efficiencies that this was able to bring to your processes collectively. But if you solve the problems for your members and you solve the problems for your team members, you're really doing the right thing to be able to not only grow the relationship, but grow the organization as a collective.
So, as I was listening to you talk, I immediately was thinking about a car loan payment that was going somewhere else, right? Is this, so what part of identifying that payment and then turning it into an outreach is new, and what part has existed before?
All right. So a lot of this has existed before, right? You have your data, right? We're not without data. We're not without financial institutions have troves of data. They have troves of data with partnerships and other systems that have their own dashboards, their own reporting. It's all there. What's different is how we've been able to take all of that data and then restructure it in a way that assigns IDs to each individual. So whether your core is account centric or it has some other identifier that is what identifies whatever you're serving, whether it's a corporation, a small business, or an individual, we assign that ID and then wrap the data around that ID of that member. And then what that ends up allowing you to be, it's called a customer data profile. Once you have that customer data profile, that then allows you to be centric to the member's needs, be centric to everything that they have, and then everything you can anticipate what they need and almost predict what they need once you have that information. But if you have all of these systems siloed and separate, you really don't have the full context of execution, right? The leaders have a great strategy. They have a great approach of what they want to do and why they want to do it. But if you don't have the details of how that is executed to be, and from a granular standpoint, from the centric aspect of your members, it's going to be very difficult to see that full picture across the board. It's going to be very difficult to know when they clicked on something, how did that translate to loans? It's going to be very difficult to understand, I have this digital ad spend. I spent this amount in Facebook. I spent this amount in Google Ads. how many loans did that yield? How many new applications did that yield? So it's not that it doesn't exist. It's how we've been able to refactor this in a way and then infuse AI in it to be able to give you a net new, a new way of approaching the collective problem, not just one, not just data, not just marketing, not just integrations, but how do you approach this collectively through the lens of those that you serve?
So what's the process for integrating this with the credit union systems and staff? What have you done so far, and what do you expect to do?
The first thing that we do is we start with your core, and that's simple. Like all you have to do for your core is you give us your nightly extract, your API keys to your core. Our system takes it from there. We'll do a nightly process, but at the same time, we're doing what's called interoperability. So every night we're level setting the data, but we're also throughout the day. If you open an application, if you engage with something inside of the core from ShiftMate, we're taking what just changed on your core or that system, and we're syncing it up with ShiftMate's databases. So now you have interoperability. This could also occur, let's say you order a credit card or a debit card. Right now, you probably order it through your core, and then at night, it sends a nightly batch process, updates it with your credit card provider, and then in the morning you receive another file to update your core. Doesn't really make a lot of sense, right? What we end up doing is ordering it directly through your credit card vendor. We kick off a job, that interoperability, to sync up what just occurred on your core, but also keeping the ShiftMate environment intact as well. And then what we do after we get your core unlocked is we start to unlock your card vendor, your LOS, all of these key systems, your marketing platform, all of these key systems to bring that data in and normalize it to a data set that can better serve your institution and your members. It doesn't matter what the data set is. We really like when the system has an API. If it doesn't have an API, we can most certainly deal with files as well. But yeah, that's at a nutshell.
So how,
To piggyback
go
off
ahead,
of
yeah.
that, yeah, to piggyback off of that, ShiftMate will they'll come in and sit down with each business unit essentially and go through everything that business unit, what they're tied to, or different things to feed what we need to embed into that system so that it can better serve, the whole organization. So they are with you hand holding every step of the way.
So how far are you into implementation?
We have another meeting next week, don't we, Jason?
We do. Yep, we
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
We've already taken care of the core. We're doing cards right now. The LOS is all set as well. So we're very far along. We should be spinning it up live in a beta test or a testing environment by the end of this month, and then start to have users start to use it in early March.
All right, so that's the data we'll be really excited about is
Yes.
results. We love some results.
Yeah. And the plan here, to be quite transparent, is to kind of hold ourselves accountable. This is what we're anticipating, have this conversation of what we're anticipating. And then hopefully down the road, we can have a follow-up conversation of here's the actual results that we got. Were we on? Did we measure this correctly? Did we anticipate this correctly? And then have that full circle approach.
Yeah, another pain point with different credit unions and with us here, like you were saying, we have all this data, right? And different reports throughout our business units. It's really exciting to be able to have a platform where we can all resource and look into it, and we see one set of information, and we're all utilizing it, we're all using it. So it's very exciting to have them come in and help us, because you could spend thousands and thousands of dollars with all these different data analysts coming in and helping us do what we need help, where ShiftMate steps in and it's able to help us with that.
So it sounds like it simplified the process of getting clarity around the data, is what I'm hearing you say.
Correct.
Yeah. It's definitely, when I look at it this way, is that we spend all this time on soft skill things with our organization, with our team members. You know, like we spend a lot of training on how to talk to members, how to make recommendations, how to look at those accounts and say, you know, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Member, based on this, we recommend that we spend a ton of time on that. But if we don't have the right data, it makes it harder to make a recommendation. You know, if you can see more information about that member, you have more ways to help them. And right now, you know, it's good you should ask those questions and get that information, but it's good to have something else to validate some data or to help you, you know, give a little bit more information or clarity to that member as, hey, based on this situation, we recommend this and this is why. And ShiftMate will be able to help us do that.
Very good. Well, we will circle back to see that that the numbers come out as you're expecting them to. So implementation in March, and then maybe some interesting data points maybe 6 months after that. I would think you need some time to run, adjust, run again, right? That's the way
Absolutely.
it works.
Yeah. It's like it's like you're inside our playbook. We have a crawl, walk, run.
Right.
Very good. Well, I appreciate you bringing this idea to us so early on in implementation. So I'll be very interested to see what's next. So any final thoughts for our listeners around where they can learn more about, you know, if you're a credit union, you're listening to this, where would you go first? What would you think about? What should be your strategic position be? Just anything you want to add for final comments.
Absolutely. Start small. Like, you don't have to eat the entire elephant. Find one wedge, find one thing that you want to solve, and then work to be able to work with your front line to be able to actually have some sort of actionable approach to that. Measure it. Once you've measured it, determine whether or not it needs to scale or extend throughout your entire environment. Know that you have partners in this space. You don't need to have your entire back office or more technology people than your front office. There are a lot of partners out there to be able to help you along the way. Thinking of it strategically, you do what's right. You have the trust, you have the dignity, you have the relationship. You're great at that. Partner with somebody that can be able to help you along the way to infuse some of these technologies, not to replace, but to enhance that.
I second that too. For final thoughts here, you know, it's something I think people in the back of their brain, especially with platforms like this, you hear AI, people get a little nervous still, thinking that it's taking, you know, jobs. This is truly a tool to enhance what we're doing here and to ultimately better serve our members, because that's what we're here for as credit unions. So we are very excited to see right now, like Jason said, figure out what piece of the pie you want to look at first. Don't get overwhelmed thinking about the whole aspect of it here. There's a lot of things that ShiftMate can do. Right now, we're talking about growth, and that's usually what most credit unions are focusing on strategically, obviously, is their growth. And we're very excited to see that happen with our partnership with ShiftMate.
Excellent. Well, thank you all for joining me today. Thank you for your work for your membership, for the credit union movement. I've enjoyed our conversation, and I look forward to hearing some more about the data in the future.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir. Have a good one. Thank you.
Thank you.